thanks everybody who sent in your amazing frogs. If you want to post them, you can just send them to us on at our Little Art School page and stick your pictures up. Let us know what you thought. But yesterday was amazing, yesterday afternoon, to see everything coming in. We loved it, and we loved how much how different everybody's was. So today it's Friday, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different. Friday, we're always going to try to really pull something special out of the bag. So today, don't know if there's any Harry Potter fans out there. We're a bit Harry Potter mad in our house, so we are going to do a Hedwig. Hedwig standing on a pile of books. Really hope you enjoy it. I really hope you can take it away and really interpret it and do different things with it. Don't feel like you've got to follow it exactly. Take the guidance that we're offering and then just go with it. Put your own spin on it, and can't wait to see what you come up with. Okay, so today we're going to do this, and what I want to do today is tell you a little bit about, remember yesterday we started with the technique of negative shapes. Today I want to just talk to you about pen marks and using your pen. So rather than, when we're doing the drawing, I don't want really solid, hard lines. Keep it nice and loose. Can you see the difference? Lovely and sketchy as you're going round. I want to keep, where we talked about the pencil grip, keep the pen grip nice and loose as well. You don't need a fancy art pen to do that with. You could just do your outlines with a biro and just keep them. See the difference? This solid, like drawing round, that's not what we're going for. We're going for these small, loose marks. So that's what I want you to think about today. Okay, so we're going to start. Let's just think about, I'm always thinking really where I am going to start on the page. So I'm going to start just above the halfway mark here. And we're going to start with just a single straight line. You see how I'm holding my pencil there really loosely? Then that's going to be the top book here on our pile of books. So just a little line there. So that's our start one. Now if we go down here to the bottom, what I'm going to do is put the bottom book in, and I want it to be probably about a quarter of the way up, about there. So exactly the same, maybe slightly bigger than that one we've just got above. Just a line, and we'll get that one in as well. And then the shape of the table underneath. If you want a table, you don't have to have a table. You could just go all the way to the bottom with your books. This is your drawing. So feel like you can do it however you want. Now, about 3 lines in between, and that's going to give us 5 books then. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm more about the art than the counting. So there we go. We've got our lines. And then if we're going to put this, so this is going to be the edge of the table there. If you want to have a table in, we'll put that in. So start off, that's all about the lines, keeping that hand nice and straight. Okay, so start off, pause it and start with this. Right, so we'll start with the books here and then we'll move on to Hedwig. So if we come in, don't feel like you've got to stick too closely to this. This is your pile of books. If you want to have the Monster Book of Monsters with clashing monster teeth, please feel free to go ahead with it. So there we go. I've just put the edges. We'll do the next bits on the other bits on the next stage, but we want now to go to Hedwig. So what I want you to start with is, remember just at the beginning there, I talked to you about these little sketchy strokes. Just keep it nice and loose and come down. That's our first shape, really. And here, when I pause it, you'll see this is a dotted line because I want it to be so light, you're definitely going to rub it out here and then get in the letter. What is this letter? Is it, what did they call them, Elizabeth? Howlers? Yeah. Howlers, I think. This could be a howler. Have there been any howlers in your house over the last few weeks? There we go. With a seal, because he's got to have a seal on, hasn't he? And then join it there. Now, all I want for the wing is just start it off, come down, nice little sweep down, and a sweep down from there. So I want you to pause it now, get in the sides of the books, and just the very basic shapes in there for Hedwig. Okay, so we're going to finish Hedwig now. If everybody's at this stage, what you can do if you want, if you feel, I always think he's a very stately looking owl. So if you want to take him a bit taller, you can do. I think I'm going to take mine a little bit taller there. Get that shape out. And then we want his beak. He's got quite a thin beak here coming down. So get that beak in. And then with the eyes are always so important, aren't they? So get the eyes, make sure they're the same size. And then you're going to go like this. Can you see what I've done there? Get him so he's got that kind of, he's such a serious owl. Get him so he's got that nice serious look on his face. And then for this bit, you can either put this bit in pencil now, or if you're going to be doing it in pen later, do these parts in pen. But I'm going to put a few in just to show you. We're going to feather all the way down that wing. And on this side here, loosen it off with these lovely feathery strokes there. And the same here for Hedwig's, the top of Hedwig's head. Nice and loose. Okay, so we've got our owl, we've got our books. At the side of the books here, I just want you to think about some shapes here. And when I stop it and pause it, you'll be able to see these. We want it really loose, sort of disappearing into nowhere. And another edge there, same thing with the tops. And the same thing there. This one needs a little edge there. So we've got our little pile of books, we've got our owl, and we're going to come on and do some painting now. So if you don't have any paints at home, I've done this on watercolor paper, so I'm going to paint it. But if you don't have any paints at home, you get your pencils, get your felt tip pens, get crayons, do whatever you want. I have very purposely left this blank at the back. Now the reason for that is I want to see what you guys put in. It could be anything. Absolutely, it could be a library, it could be a Quidditch pitch, it could be anything. So absolutely astonish us and fill it in. If you want to keep watching, I'm going to show you how I'm going to use just a few little bits of watercolor, which even if it's on cartridge paper, you should be able to do it. There's no heavy washes in this, it's just a bit of watercolor I'm going to use on this. So if you keep watching, I'll show you how to use that. Okay, so here I've got my little setup. You don't need much for watercolour painting. Key thing is the paper really. So I've got this watercolour paper here. These are the paints we use for our levels classes, our senior classes. It's a pretty limited palette, but you actually really don't need any more. And if you're looking at it thinking that's very scruffy, Joanne, I have actually had it in about 20 years, that's why. Okay, and we've got a palette here and a pipette. So what I'm going to do is, look, putting tiny bits of water in here because I'm barely going to use any paint, but I'm going to mix these little washes, so several different washes for all the different books. But I'm going to start by just putting a little touch of paint on my owl, not much at all, but you can see I've just got a little bit in here. So what you'll know, all little art school artists, is that we don't tend to mix grey by doing black and white. We'll do it with a bit of brown, or a bit of burnt umber and a bit of French ultramarine. Always gives a lovely grey. That's a bit too brown, so just going to add a bit more blue. Let's see. Yeah, that's perfect. So really not much at all because Hedwig's a snowy owl. So just touches of grey in there. If I feel like I've got too much, just go back in and you can lift it out again. Okay, and now I'm going to mix the colours for the books. And you can see I've already got that there. I'll do one blue. Thing with watercolor is if you want it to be lighter, you add more water. If you want it to be darker, you add more paint. So you really don't need ever to use a white in watercolor. So I'm going to start here with the blue, Ravenclaw blue, and I'm going to go on to, so really quickly painting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go between them. So I'm going to go straight onto that one, do that one red. And by the time I come back then to the one at the top, hopefully this one will be dry. So really quick painting, and I want it to be sort of very light. And here I'll put a green in. So I actually might just use blue and yellow to mix my green. That is how I imagine the Monster Book of Monsters. Maybe green, maybe brown. These are all your books to name, so I'm very curious to see what you come up with. You can see Kate's just lent me a few of hers here. So we've got Beadle the Bard, Quidditch Through the Ages, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Whichever ones you fancy putting in. I'm going to now just paint the table. And again, I'm just going to do, can you see I'm not going straight from the palette. I'm putting the paint onto my brush, and then I'm going into my wash, and then I'm going onto my paper. So if you use the paint straight from the palette, I'll show you in a second, what you get is something much darker. Now at this point, here's the key. Everybody at the Little Art School understands about this. If I touch this paint here onto that green wash when it's still wet, what will happen is they'll just run into each other, and that's not what I want. I want to have this separation. And where it's gone over there, all you do is you can lift it slightly, like that. So I've just got 2 left to do, but these are still wet. So I am going to pause the camera now, let them dry for 5 minutes. I could blast it with a hairdryer, I probably won't. I'll probably go and have a cup of tea. So we'll just let it dry. I'll come back, I'll finish it, and then come back for the last bit on some sketchy marks. Okay, so once the red and the blue one, the green one had dried, I did a couple of yellow ones, a sort of nice strong bold yellow and a yellow ochre one as well, and they're pretty much dry now. So I just wanted to go back to exactly where we started today, which was with these lovely loose pen marks. So rather than doing solid outlines, leave a few gaps, and make sure you've got these stringy feathers. You might hear a little noise in the background. That is my dog who wants to come in. Poor Cooper. So we're just going to go down with the envelope. It's a slightly different line because we don't want that feathery line. But again, keeping it round. Colour in the beak. I'm just using a black pen here. Now I've altered the eyes slightly because I'd given Hedwig a bit of a Frida Kahlo monobrow earlier, so he's still looking pretty fierce. But Hedwig is a she, isn't it? And then lovely loose marks down here for the feathers. You can just do this in a biro if you want, and then going around the books, exactly the same idea. So rather than doing like a solid outline, break the line up slightly. And as you come into this bit of the books here, just let it disappear off to nowhere. Okay. Now, have you decided what your 6 books are going to be called yet? If you are a huge Hermione fan, you might go for something a bit fancier than I went for. Just get your pen and call them what you like. The Monster Book of Monsters. You can do little drawings on them. You can do it however you want, but just keep your pen marks nice and loose. And then on the table at the end, if you've done a table, just keep your pen moving nice and swiftly. And this background bit here, this is what I'm really fascinated about. I really can't wait to see what you guys put in here. So that's the end of our Hedwig. Have a fantastic weekend. Tune in anytime after 11 o'clock on Monday, and I'm going to have a really spectacular, beautiful dragonfly waiting for you. And post your pictures up to us, and we'd love to see them.